hope everything's working now. Yeah, I think I can see my cursor. I think everything's good now. Still sorting out some technical difficulties, but I think we're good now. Alright, so I got what I wanted to do today was go over elevating lines, so most of what my first 15 minutes that where my video capture wasn't working, what I was doing was cleaning everything up, getting ready to do this. So really now I can get into it and just do the same thing that I was doing. At this point I'm ready to just elevate lines. So real simple. The first one I want to do, data prep lines to elevate lines. So I'm going to elevate lines using other lines. So what I want to do is I want to go to intersecting lines, and I want to hit options and select by layer, and I'm going to hit contour lines. So now I selected all my contour lines as my intersecting lines. I can go back to the regular lines, hit options, select by layer, edge of pavement, close. So what this is going to do is it's going to elevate my 7 edge of pavement lines using 13 of the intersecting contour lines. Hit apply. It just elevated all those lines. I go in here, I can see everything's in 3D. And I'm going to have some issues at the corners. We'll clean that up. So that's one of the reasons why actually I'm just going to do it right now. I like to keep all these lines joined, at least until I export it. It just makes building the model so much easier. So they're all joined now. Actually, let me make sure that I don't have. Okay. Alright, so one thing I want to do is I want to go over to my edge of pavement line. I'm going to right click, edit. This makes this whole line a line string if it's not, and it gives me a chance to edit every different property of this line, the horizontal and vertical. So there's 2 things we have to look out for. Horizontal lines, or horizontal tab. You can have an elevation in the horizontal tab if you're building out line work manually. I think a DXF comes in with the elevations on in the horizontal tab. Business Center likes to work in this vertical tab over here. You have to be careful to look for both of them. I've been burned before where I can't figure out why a line doesn't look right. That's because it was elevated in the horizontal instead of being elevated in the vertical. And it doesn't really matter. You can do it both ways. But when you use the internal Business Center functions, vertical is where it elevates them. So when I click on the vertical tab, I can see there's a vertical point of intersection at this point where I cross the contour line, 374, 375, 376, 376. Yeah, it looks like these callouts are probably the actual calling out the spot elevations. I'd expect this spot was probably be higher than 376. And it is. It's common. Normally you'll find a corner of a parking lot has a little bit higher elevation so it doesn't hold water. So I'm going to add some, I'm going to show how I'm going to add these spot elevations manually. So I'm going to hit add VPI, click on that corner, I'm going to do 376.3 for the bottom of curb. I'm going to come to this one here, I'm just going to click right there, which is going to pick that spot on the line, 376.3. So I'm elevating them under the vertical side of the edit line string command. see if I can find another call out. One right here, 3. So I'm gonna redo that. So I'm gonna hit this button here, add VPI. It's gonna let me add a vertical point, and when I click on it, I'm gonna click on this spot here. And it doesn't matter if I click to the left or right of it. It's still gonna grab that spot on the line. So when I grab this spot, Business Center guesses that or it tells you the current elevation according to the other vertical points of intersection, which it's just a straight shot interpolation between this point and that point. So it looks like it's on the 375 side of being directly in between these two. So I would guess that this elevation is going to be the 374.6. So I come over here, Business Center tells me what it thinks it is, which is 374.65. So I'm going to highlight that to erase it, and I'm going to type 374.5, which is the one I want, and now it's going to change that line elevation. So I don't see any more along the edge of pavement. So it looks like there's a, yeah, I don't know where it's saying the bottom of curb and top of curb is the same elevation. Here it's 3/10. I don't even know I don't know what would ever be 3/10. So I don't have any details. I have nothing for this job, so, but that's okay. I'll bring it back to the contractor. I'm gonna highlight the building pad, and I want to put the finished floor elevation in here. So there's a few different ways to do all this. I'm just gonna click on this change elevation command up here. Absolute elevation is what I want, and here there's multiple options. This is a powerful command. So this will take us a group of lines or whatever objects, and you can elevate them. You can do a delta elevation, so I can raise a set of lines by 2/10, 3/10, whatever I want, up or down. Absolute elevation is going to turn every selected line into an exact elevation. Undefined, it's really powerful. I can actually use it here. Maybe not. Yeah, so right here, and this is another important thing when it comes to elevating lines in Business Center. Elevation 0 is not the same as elevation ? Which is an undefined elevation. So in Business Center, it's important to make any 0 line elevations to be a negative, or to be a ? Or an undefined elevation. So I'm going to select both of these. Just going to select, I'm in 3D so I can see all my elevated line work here. I'm going to select everything down here, come to data prep, change elevation. I'm going to hit undefined. It doesn't do anything visually on the screen, but that right there will help. It helps certain situations where, like if I add these to a surface right now, it won't register them. So actually, I'm going to undo it. Just hit my undo button. I've got a keyboard or a mouse shortcut. So this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to select. Let's see what these are. I'm going to delete these. I'm not sure what they are. They almost look like vertical lines. No vertical lines in Business Center. Alright, so I just deleted those, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to select, let me get rid of this. There's a glitch on there. It goes. Yeah, that's just something the designer put over there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select, is that a hatch object? So I'm going to select all this. I'm going to hit Control S for me, which is add to surface member. I have, that's a custom shortcut I use. I'm going to click Finish Design, and I'm going to hit Add. And as you can see, 3D locked up. Just bring it back in. So that's definitely not right. So Business Center is registering all of these elements down, all these objects down here as 3D objects with the elevation of 0. So they're part of my surface and they're creating that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select all those. I have it so my surface can't be selected. So I'm going to select all those. I'm going to go Data Prep, change elevation, and I'm going to go to undefined elevation, which is changing those lines from a 0 elevation to a question mark undefined elevation, which to Business Center tells it that it is a 2D line and that there's no 3D properties to that line. It's not truly at elevation 0. So when I hit apply, got to rebuild my surface, which is the setting. So I'm going to change that. Right click properties of my finished design surface, and I'm going to do auto. So it just rebuilt my surface, and it got rid of all these lines that were at 0 elevation. So that's another important feature of another important thing to know when elevating lines is to make sure that your 0 elevation lines are actually undefined. So I'm going to come back to here. So I took care of those undefined elevation. Oh, I'm gonna elevate this. So I'm gonna take this building. Oh. Now I'm gonna go to, these aren't all line strings, they're CAD lines. So I'm gonna go to macros. I'm gonna go to convert to line string. I'm gonna hit OK. I just converted those to line strings. So now when I select all 4 of them and I right click, I have the option to join. I'm going to hit all selected lines and I'm going to hit join. And now they're one line. I want to elevate them, so I'm going to click that one line and I'm going to do an absolute elevation. You can do surface elevation. It'll drape, basically it'll drape the object onto a surface. And it'll elevate, it could elevate it based on an existing surface you already have. I'm not sure what relative to point is, I've never used that. So I'm going to do absolute elevation, 376.5. So now it has an issue with this contour line. So this is a model for construction. So there's room for interpretation in construction, especially when you have contour lines, which are export, not import. So they export the contour lines based on their surface. And then it's up to the contractor to read between the lines, but when you're building a machine control model, it's up to the model builder to read between the lines, unless you're going to trust that the contractor's operator is going to turn off his automatics in order to do something on his own. So in this case, I want to read between the lines in the model first, and then I will let them finish any of their tweaks and small changes, let them do that in the field. But I want to do as many as I can right now. So in this case, I'm going to take this there's got a couple things. First, I'm going to break the contour line. So I'm going to come off the edge of the building. I'm going to break it there. I'm going to click up here to select a different line because I broke it. And I'm going to select this one. I'm going to come off the building. So now I can make this undefined and it will remove it from my surface. I can delete it. In this case, I might actually move it. See, I don't have any other line work. So I'm actually going to take this, I'm going to move it, which I almost never do something like this. But I'm going to move it away from the building. I'm going to grab this. Just going to tweak this. It's a contour line. It's not a big deal to tweak it. But I want to be able to maintain at least some surface information behind the building. So I'm just going to come here, I'm going to flatten this out. So this is something the contractor would probably do on their own. You know, I use my construction experience being in the field to know, you know, what they need to see. And sometimes it's a little risky, but, you know, it's construction. No one walks on the job without a little bit of risk. So in this case, I'll probably tell the contractor what I did for that. So if I go to 3D view, that was, realize, 375, it's a 1.5 feet below. So, I'll have to figure out if this building pad has, if it's a retaining wall on the back side. This is just somewhat, see, I got two lines here. Yeah, so both of those are 735, so sort of lazy drafting. None of that might be accurate to the field. They might just connect from the pad down. This could be a small retaining wall on the side of the pad. I don't know. This goes right up to it. The company I'm working with deals with this same engineer quite a bit, so I've seen this on their jobs before. It's not a big deal. I'm just going to clean it up. So I'm going to break this. So I'm going to take this contour line. I'm just going to delete it. So this contour line goes from a bottom curb 376 to 376, which means having a contour line that runs right on top of the edge of pavement that's already, oh, there's a 375 there too. Huh. Yeah, that's not going to look right. Oh no, that's an old line. So this is redundant. I don't need this contour line on top of the edge of pavement, so I'm just going to break it at the corner, and I'm going to click here, grab the contour line, and I'm going to delete it. This contour line, I'm just going to right click, break, I'm going to break it right there. I'm going to delete that other end of it. So you can see it smoothed that out. Again, it's going to be a field fit anyway, I would think. So I have to find the details on that proposed walkway. That's apparently 3/10 higher than the edge of pavement. These, I can tell that this is probably not going to connect correctly for that ditch. So let me go to 3D view, and I want to see some triangles because it's hard to see some of the errors in the surface. So I'm going to click on my surface under Project Explorer. Go over to here to under 3D view, show wireframe. Yes. So it didn't look too bad, but as you can see, there's some errors in this. So I'm going to make a pretty simple break line that should take care of this and clean this up a little bit. So this is going to be a good function of Business Center. Very powerful tool is their line string command. So I'm going to click on under CAD line string. And then I'm going to go up and I'm going to go down here to I think I have a ditch line. Hit OK. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to click, go back to select a new coordinate because I didn't pick the right spot. So if I pick there, it's going to automatically grab the elevation of that line, which is 376. I click here, click here. It's probably good enough for now. Now I'm gonna add another piece onto here. So I'm gonna right click and hit edit. Now I'm under here I can insert a new start point, so that's what I want to do. Click on that, and I'm just going to come back to here. I'm going to go down to my snap. I'm going to turn on my near point. And I'm just going to eyeball this and pick this right here. And I'm going to hit, well, for me it's Control S, which adds a surface member. Under here, surfaces, surface members. Then I'm going to hit add. It's going to add that ditch line. I can go to 3D. Actually, I'm going to change my sampling distance, computation, surface. Oh, it's already 5. This job's so small I couldn't tell that's only 5 foot increments. So now I've got this ditch line. So actually I'm gonna make another ditch line. Start it here. This really would be like a top line. I'm gonna connect these on the outside just to get a little more surface. So if you go to 3D, you can see that there's holes in this surface here. I want to create this ditch, in the real world. Or I want to create it in the model so they can build it, because I know in the real world there's going to be a ditch here. They don't want their surface running out when you get to here. So I just made that line. You can also make it in 3D. I'll show how to do that. So I'm going to delete it and do it again. Go to CAD, line string, hit OK. So I want to start here, and then go to here. Just the ends of these lines, because I want to fill these triangles in. Go to here, and then that's good enough for me. So I'm going to escape out. I'm already selecting that one ditch line. I'm going to go to surface, surface members. I'm going to add it, and now you have a much better ditch. I could even put another break line here, which I will do. I'm going to select right behind the edge of pavement. I'm going to select that break in the contour and that one there. Now, another thing, a designer would have that labeled differently than ditch. Let's be realistic. No one in the field is ever going to go stake that. There's just going to be a line for the dozer. But I want that dozer to know there's a break line there. I'm not going to name that a different layer. I'm not going to put it top or bottom or tie or whatever. I'm just going to add it as ditch because no one really cares. It's not a big deal. So I'm just going to hit add. So I got sort of my top line there. So it's not the prettiest surface right there, but it's good enough for what the contractor's doing, and it matches the contract documents. So there shouldn't be too many complaints on that. I'm sure there's some person out there who's got a design background who can make that ditch look way better than this, but it's as good as it needs to be for dirt, in my opinion. So you can see some funny things going on here. There's a flat spot. I'm going to select my surface, and I'm going to hit in 3D show slope arrows. Change the size of them so they show up everywhere. Yep, so there's a flat spot there because I'm elevating at the edge of pavement and at the edge of pavement at the same contour line, and there's nothing on that corner. So a perfect designer would always have a call out there. Most designers are not perfect, so there's no call out there. So and this is stuff that I'll document and send to the contractor. I know this particular contractor. I know he doesn't care at all. He just wants the job to go smoothly. He doesn't want water trapping anywhere. He wants his parking lot to be flat that he's building. But I'll let him know. So it looks like right here, looks like they popped this up 3/10 that corner. So we'll do that again. So I'm more elevating lines. I'm going to right click, edit. vertical, I'm going to hit add, click this spot here, and then I'm going to do 377 point. I'm just going to do 2/10 higher, which is just enough to drain the water. Slightly more conservative since I'm just making that up. So I'm going to put a break line here. So Control F is what I use for new line string. It's because my left hand is always on my keyboard where I can just hit Control F at any point. Probably the most used command. And it would change this from ditch to break lines as it goes through the road. So I'm going to click here, I'm going to click here. So it elevated that line automatically based on the elevations of those contour lines. I'm going to come in here, I'm going to hit add. So I have a flag. So why do I have a flag? Yeah, that whole thing looks terrible. I'll have to go back to the contractor with that one. So I have a flag because there's no point of elevation on that line that matches the break line that I've created. So you can see there's a gap right there. Very easy to fix this. I'm going to right click, I'm going to hit edit. Editing this line. Go to vertical, I'm going to hit add. So I don't know if this will work right, but at distance along, if I click down here, this is really that distance along. And then for the elevation, I'm going to click. If I click right here, it should get it right, and it did. Yeah, it looks pretty bad. I mean, this looks like they designed a ditch, and it's apparently going to be asphalt. Maybe, no. Yeah, that's pretty poor. So I'll probably mark this up, or I could probably just send a video of this to the contractor. I mean, that's a one-time exaggeration. You can see that looks pretty nasty. I mean, it might even be better without this. Really, it's not accurate. So if you hit Control Shift and you scroll up on your wheel, it changes your exaggeration in the bottom left. So this is a 3-time vertical exaggeration. So you see how high your pad's elevated. All the verticals are 3 feet higher. And that's what your parking lot looks like. That's what you want your parking lot to look like. Something like that. This line is going up off into space because I haven't changed the elevation at all at the end. So I'm going to bring my exaggeration back. So this line is kind of going up to nowhere. So I'm going to right click edit. I'm going to add a vertical. I'm going to find an existing contour. $378, $377. Looks like this might be $377 as well. Oh, wait, $378. Yeah, I'm not really sure. I'm just gonna try $377 for now. And I brought that back down. So I'm going to edit this line. I'm going to click on it. Right click. I'm going to hit edit. Now I want to head it horizontal. I want to click on this segment of the line. So now I'm editing this segment. I'm going to click on this button right here, which is add after last segment. So now it's going to add one after that last one that I've picked. I'm going to click the end of this here. And that completed the model. I wasn't sure if I wanted to do that, but now it looks like it makes sense too. So we have a flat spot in the middle of the road right here, which I will not let that stay. So I'll probably put a contour line, split the difference right down the middle, and just put it at 6 inches above and below, or above this 375. So it's kind of a poor design, but we'll make it work. I'll do the best for the contractor, and in the end, they're okay with most of my changes. So And that's a simple way how you elevate lines. Normally I use the elevate lines command over here. You can elevate contours by crossing. It's pretty self-explanatory if you use it. Hopefully the contours come in already for you, elevated. So that's the basics on elevating lines. I can go into some more advanced ones at a different time, but that at least gets you the basics. And in a pretty short amount of time, we were able to elevate this entire site. Very small job, but starting to elevate it. I'll probably spend an hour or two more on this, just working on the surface. And I'll communicate with the contractor and let them know what I found, what's not good, and what doesn't work. So, all right. Hopefully next time I can still try to iron out some more of the technical difficulties. Still having issues, but uh, yeah, tune in next week on Thursday. We'll go over something else. Reach out to me. Let me know if there's anything else that you want to see. I'm always happy to do it. So, thank you very much. Have a good night, everyone.